Yeah, so I think the act of practicing something is also something that you can and often should practice. I used to think that because when I first started making music, or even like exercising and things like that as well, I thought that because I didn't have the discipline to do it regularly and to do it loads, so that I learned to actually uh, so that I actually had some discipline, and that I actually kind of, this was a regular part of my life. I thought that because I didn't have the discipline at the time to do that, and I only used to, do these things sometimes, not as often as I wanted to or felt I should do. That might have meant that I was always going to be that way, or that I was in some way not cut out to do whatever I was doing, and that it was like futile. And I thought that, but obviously I continue to do these things, and I had this conception in my head that I was incredibly lazy, and it's a strange thing, laziness, because in a sense it's a state of being, but it's also like a choice. So it can also have to do with energy levels and mood and things like that, obviously. But yeah, I sort of thought about that for years as something that I wanted to address, and that I wanted a way in which I wanted to be better. And for a long time it didn't really change, but now I think I have a very good work ethic for the most part, and that isn't something I thought that you could train yourself to have. I thought that was something that was required in order to do training, but it is something you can train. It's something you build up over time. And some people don't. I mean, some people get into, like, they learn a new instrument or a skill or something, and they just immediately start doing it for like 30 or 40 hours a week, and that's cool and that's really useful for them. But if you're not like that, it doesn't mean that you won't ever be, or that you can't be. You can slowly over time train yourself to be more like that and get more used to being like that, and kind of work on yourself in that way more than people might have you believe. So it's better to think of it as kind of being lazy, as in kind of like actively being lazy in the moment, rather than being that as a person, because that implies that you don't have a choice. That implies that you don't have control over it, or that it can't change, and it's some kind of immutable characteristic that you have. But it's not really, when you break it down, really, it's like a moment by moment choice. There's no through line through all of it. So you can be lazy today and be very hardworking tomorrow. It's unlikely that you'll make such a radical shift overnight. It's almost impossible, in fact, but it is theoretically possible, which means that in the long term it's definitely possible. It's definitely something that you can achieve.